Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another week of Parsha. As I'm sure you recall, we are currently in the middle of reading the third book of Chumash, the book of Vayikra. Vayikra means he called. And for the whole book of Vayikra, oh, I'm sorry. Hello, who is it? It's Hashem calling. Hashem, who are you calling for? Hashem is calling for Moshe. Hashem, I'm going to pass the phone to Moshe. I have to get back to Parsha. I know Hashem isn't really calling on my cell phone, but for the whole book of Vayikra, Hashem is calling Moshe to give instructions about the new Mishkan that we just finished building at the end of the book of Shemot. Now, the name of this week's Parsha is called Bechukotai, which means in my rules. And the Parsha is called that because the Parsha starts with Hashem saying to the Jewish people, if you follow Bechukotai, if you follow in my rules, in Hashem's rules, then all sorts of wonderful good things will happen. We won't have any wild animals attacking people. There won't be any wars for us to fight. And anytime our enemies do fight us, we're going to win. And we're going to have lots of kids grow up healthy and lots of food to eat, lots of nice things growing. Everything will be wonderful. But the Parsha says, if we don't follow Bechukotai, if we don't follow in Hashem's rules, and instead we ignore Hashem and forget about Hashem and break Hashem's rules, then all sorts of bad things will happen. And the Parsha goes into detail about all the bad things, like how there won't be any rain, which means there won't be any food growing, which means we won't have enough food to eat. People will get sick and there will be war and there will be wild animals attacking us. And if we remember in last week's Parsha, in Parshat Behar, we learned about in the Shemitah year, every 7 years, we have to let the land rest. We have to completely let the land rest. And the Parsha uses that as an example this week. It says, if we don't let the land rest like we're supposed to, then the land will take its rest by us getting kicked out of Israel in exile until the land has rested by being completely empty for as many years as we should have let it rest in the first place. But the Parsha says, even if we make these bad choices and we don't follow Bechukotai, we don't follow in Hashem's rules and we ignore Hashem and forget about Hashem and we get punished, even while we're being punished, Hashem will not abandon us. Hashem will never forget about us. Hashem will never stop loving us and protecting us. And as soon as our time for punishment is over, Hashem will bring us back home to Israel and give us all those nice things again. And the Parsha continues with rules about what happens when we promise something to the Mishkan, depending on what we promise. Starting with if you promise a person to the Mishkan. Now, we don't give people to the Mishkan. Hashem has been very clear. Hashem does not want us to give Hashem people. People we treat with respect. We treat like people. So if you you also have to keep promises that you make to Hashem. So the Parsha explains, if you say that you're going to give a person to the Mishkan, what that really means in terms of how much money you have to give to the Mishkan instead, depending on what exactly you say and who you're saying it about. And if you promise an animal to the Mishkan, you have to give that animal to the Mishkan. No substitutes, no trades, no switching. The exact animal that you promised is the animal that you have to give to the Mishkan. And if you promise a house that you own to the Mishkan, then you change your mind. You're like, wait, no, I want to live in my house. Once you say it, once you promise it, if you want to buy it back from Mishkan, you have to pay an extra 1/5 of the price of the house to buy it back from the Mishkan. And if you promise land to the Mishkan, now remember in last week's Parsha, in Parshat Behar, we also learned about the Yovel year. Every 50 years, the land returns to its original owners. But if you promise land that you own to the Mishkan, then even in the Yovel year, it does not go back to you for free. You only get it back if you buy it back in the Yovel year. And when you buy it back, you have to again pay an extra 1/5 of the price to get it back from the Mishkan. But that exception is only if it's land that was originally yours. But if you buy land from someone else, and then you promise this land that you've bought to the Mishkan, then in the Yovel year, in the 50th year, it does go back to its original owner, to the person you bought it from, because it's not their fault that you gave away the land that you bought. So they get it back for free, even if it's from the Mishkan. The Parsha also tells us that all firstborn animals automatically belong to Hashem, which means you can't promise to give a firstborn animal to Hashem. That's like giving somebody something that's already theirs. That's like if you take my cell phone and you say, hey, Parsha Becky, I'm going to give you a present. It's your cell phone. Well, that was already mine. That's not a good present. So we don't give animals to Hashem that are already Hashem's. We already have to give them to Hashem. and also 1/10 of all our animals and all our fruits and all our crops, everything that we grow, automatically belong to Hashem. So anything we promise to Hashem is on top of the stuff that's already Hashem's, like 1/10 of everything that we grow and all our firstborn animals. Now, Bechukotai was actually the last Parsha in the book of Vayikra, and we've just reached the end of Parshat Bechukotai. There's something special that we say when we finish a book of Chumash. We say, Chazak, Chazak, Venit Chazek, which means strong, strong, and we will make ourselves strong because learning Torah makes us stronger. And we have just made ourselves so strong by finishing now 3 books of Chumash. We're going to make ourselves even stronger by starting right in on the next book of the Torah next week. Shabbat Shalom.